Hi, this is Bill Bradley with Pajamas Media. We're out here in the Sierra foothills today talking with Senator John McCain's senior advisor, his chief message strategist, Steve Schmidt. Steve Schmidt was the campaign manager for Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, ran the war room for the Bush-Cheney ticket in 2004, and was counselor to Vice President Dick Cheney.
I mean, you know, when you sit down with Senator McCain, you're reminded that you're with, you know, an authentic American hero, someone who sacrificed more greatly than anyone I know for our country or anyone that I've ever met in politics. He's a remarkable person. He's a person who always puts principle ahead of politics. It's rare to see. It's always about what's good for the country first.
Right now,
Economy.
Right.
And the way you grow the economy is not by raising taxes, as Senator Obama proposes. It's by lowering taxes. We have the second highest corporate tax rate in the world. That's why companies are putting high-tech plants in Ireland, which was once the poorest country in Europe, but now is the richest country in Europe. We have to create a climate where businesses will invest in the United States.
Right.
We need to have a strong dollar policy again in this country. We have to stop exporting $400 billion a year to the petroleum exporting countries, some of that money that winds up in the hands of terrorists. And most importantly, we have to stop the reckless spending in Washington, D.C., which is bankrupting the future of the country. One of the issues that he will talk about at great length in this campaign is the absolute necessity for America to become energy independent. This is something that's been talked about for 30 years. It's time for action. There is a national security necessity. There is an economic necessity. This is how we can restore much of the manufacturing base in states like Ohio and Michigan, is through the creation of green tech jobs, and of course, there are enormous environmental implications. If we can reduce our dependence on foreign oil, become energy sufficient on U.S. production, on North American production, then the consequence of that is cleaner air, cleaner war for our children. Senator McCain wants this war to end, but he wants it to end with American troops coming home from Iraq in victory. Senator Obama, with his calls for precipitous withdrawal, despite the recommendations of commanders on the ground, will lead to a situation where al-Qaeda declares victory, where there is chaos, a possible genocide, widespread destabilization in the region, and the possibility that American troops will be back there in much greater numbers to fight a bigger, bloodier, more costly war. Senator McCain hates war. He hates war. He first saw war through the eyes of a 7-year-old on Pearl Harbor Sunday when his father left for war and didn't return home for a couple of years. He has seen war through the eyes of a father who has sent his son to war, and of course, he has seen the horrors and ravages of war. He understands you don't secure the peace for the next generation by surrendering to the Islamic extremists who wish to destroy our way of life. Everyone in America is upset by how this war was waged for its first 4 years. No one was a louder criticism of the failed Rumsfeld strategy in this country than John McCain. We're now winning that war, and we're winning that war because of the courage of John McCain in standing up and demanding a change in strategy. He's an environmentalist in the tradition of Teddy Roosevelt. On the issue of climate change, Senator McCain believes it's real, that we must act, that we must do something about it. He supports a cap-and-trade system. He supports
like Governor Schwarzenegger.
He supports the United States being a world leader on this issue. He has talked about the need to restore America's preeminence with regard to its alliances by being the country that other countries look at as a leader who they respect, who they follow, from this perspective of America reaching out and being a good listener. I think we'll go down in the polls. We could be down 10 points. We could be down 15 points. Who knows? There's a historic bounce that the new nominee usually gets. We've been hanging out, awaiting the arrival of whomever our opponent is going to be. The race isn't over, but I think when it ends, there'll be a burst of momentum and excitement, you know, on behalf of the nominee, whether it's Senator Obama or Senator Clinton, and we'll fall behind in the race, and that'll be a temporary condition, and we'll come back up. People have counted John McCain out many times when he's fallen behind in the polls. I can assure you, it's not a placement that we're unused to or that bothers us very much.
Right now.
He's someone who's going to talk about the environment an awful lot in this campaign. He's going to talk about our physical environment. He'll also talk about global warming, and it's time to get serious about this issue. And the notion that it's not real, that we don't need to take action, is something he just disagrees with in a fundamental way against policies of the administration.
More on the economy?
The following week, we'll be talking all over the country about the economy, about his vision for the future, about how to make the economy grow. I think the most important thing is not to treat the American people like they're children. We live in serious times. There are big differences on the table which will affect the direction of this country for the next generation on issues ranging from national security to the economy. We will lay out those differences not in an exaggerated way, not in a hyperbolic way, but calmly and deliberately so the American people can make the most informed decision as possible.